Chapter 3. The Voice of the Unconscious. The beginning of existence, 95% and 5%. Life began from a place that we do not remember and is moving in a direction that we do not yet know. In man's view of the universe, what we see is perhaps only a small part of the truth. Scientists say, what we perceive of the universe is only a small fraction of the entire reality, and the vast part of it still remains behind the veil of the unknown. But if we bring this view inside human beings themselves, a more wondrous picture takes shape. Perhaps what we know of ourselves consciously is only 5%, and the other 95% lies hidden in the depths of our unconscious. A place where feeling takes shape, love flows, fears are hidden, and inspiration is born silently. This very unseen part, this very silent depth, shapes the path of man and determines his destiny. And perhaps the beginning of existence too began from this very invisibility, from a place beyond what is seen and beyond what is easily understood. And this is the beginning of our journey into the human being and toward meaning. The cooperation of meaning and nature. After that unseen beginning, the universe gradually took shape. Nature, with all its laws, set into motion in the path of survival and continuity. And alongside it, something else was also present, invisible, yet impactful. It can be called meaning. Nature built, nurtured, and continued, but meaning gave direction to this building. Nature had laws, but meaning whispered the purpose. In this silent cooperation, the universe was not just a collection of matter. Rather, it became a path for the formation of life. Meaning and nature, not in opposition, but in companionship, carried the burden of existence. One created, and the other brought understanding. And from the heart of this companionship, the seed of something was planted that would one day reach consciousness. A seed that, in the course of time, from simplicity to complexity, and from silence to perception, will move. And thus it was that the cooperation of meaning and nature provided the ground for the emergence of man. Man is the continuation of that same cooperation, but this time with responsibility. Transition to life. In the continuation of that silent cooperation between meaning and nature, a moment arrived where existence took a step further. In this path, matter, which until then was moving within the framework of its own laws, gradually manifested signs of life within itself. This was not a sudden leap, but a gradual transition from inanimate to animate, from stillness to motion, and from silence to reaction. Life began with its simplest forms, but within that very simplicity, a secret was hidden, the secret of continuing. Nature nurtured it, and meaning determined its direction. And thus, life not only came into being, but wanted to remain. From the heart of this wanting, a force emerged, a force that, later, in the existence of man, will be known as survival. Life continued its path, from simplicity to complexity, from weakness to ability, and from unawareness toward perception. And at every step, something was added to it: sense, reaction, and signs of choice. Until this long path reached a creature that was not only alive, but understood. Man is the result of this transition, a transition from matter to life, and from life to consciousness. Evolution of the sensory force into the unconscious. With the beginning of life and the continuation of its path in the heart of nature, something within creatures gradually took shape. A force that at first was very simple and primitive, a force called sense. Sense was the first language of life, the wordless language by which creatures perceived their environment. The feeling of danger, the feeling of need, and the desire for survival all originated from this very simple force. With the passage of time and in the path of evolution, this primitive sense gradually became more complex. Sense turned into experience. Experience linked with memory, and memory provided a ground for choice. In this path, reactions were no longer merely instinctual. Rather, signs of understanding and distinction appeared in them. And thus, a deeper layer formed within life, a layer that was no longer just a response to the environment, but also carried a kind of internal storage and guidance. This layer is the very thing that later in man became known as the unconscious. The unconscious is not the result of a single moment, but the outcome of a long path. The path of experiences, choices, and the accumulation of feelings over time. In the existence of man, this force reached its peak, where sense, experience, and understanding blended together and turned into an internal system. A system that operates silently but impacts deeply. A system that decides before consciousness and feels before language. And thus it was that the unconscious took shape as one of the most fundamental forces of man. A force that is not seen, but guides the path of life. Determinism and free will in the light of evolution and heredity. In the path of the evolution of life, not only have physical characteristics changed, but within man, too, deep changes have taken shape. Scientists, including Charles Darwin, have shown that living creatures have evolved over time, and characteristics that help survival have remained more. These characteristics do not include only the appearance, but behaviors, reactions, and certain inner tendencies are also included. Man is born with a collection of characteristics. A part of these characteristics is seen in his appearance, and another part lies hidden within him. These hidden properties include tendencies, feelings, and behavioral backgrounds that are transmitted, to some extent, through heredity. But this transmission does not mean the complete determination of destiny. Alongside heredity, environment, experience, and consciousness play an important role in shaping man. Therefore, man is neither completely made by the past, nor completely free from it. He is born with a background, but he has the ability to change his path. Here, determinism and free will find meaning alongside each other. A part of man has roots in the past, and another part takes shape in his choices. And this interaction provides the ground for the formation of the unconscious. After recognizing the unconscious, an important question arises. Is man free in the path of his life, or is he bound by forces that have been formed in him beforehand? The answer lies in the middle of these two. Neither absolute determinism nor absolute free will, but a combination of both. Man brings a heritage with him into the world, a heritage, part of which is manifest in his body, and another part hidden within him. Manifest properties are characteristics that are seen in man's appearance, such as the face, limbs, and bodily structure. But alongside that, hidden properties also exist. Characteristics such as affection, kindness, fear, courage, jealousy, and intellectual inclinations, which are hiddenly transmitted from one generation to the next. These characteristics play an important role in shaping man's personality, and sometimes influence the path of his life beforehand. For this reason, many humans move in paths that resemble their family and past. But this is not the end of the road. Alongside what has been inherited, man also has the ability to choose. He can learn, experience, and change his path. Man is made to some extent, but in the end, he also makes himself. This is where free will finds meaning. Free will within limitations and amidst the influences of the past. Therefore, neither determinism alone rules, nor free will alone is enough. Rather, human life is the scene of the interaction between these two. And precisely at this point, responsibility begins. Anatomy of the unconscious. The unconscious is not just a word, but a universe within man. A universe silent yet alive, which operates wordlessly but creates destiny. The unconscious is formed of forces that must operate in harmony with one another, and whenever one of these forces is ignored, balance is lost. The first force is the force of constructiveness. This force itself is formed of several important parts. The force of survival, the force that all forces operate to serve its preservation. This force includes the effort to stay alive, sustenance, fear, courage, and the desire to continue. The force of conscience, or the scale of balance. The force that takes shape due to beliefs, experiences, and teachings, and creates a balance between right and wrong. The force of art. The force that gives color to life and is not equal in all humans. In forms such as poetry, music, painting, and other manifestations of beauty, it appears. The force of natural sciences. The force that organizes the practical life of man. In the form of knowledge such as medicine, engineering, agriculture, commerce, and education, and ensures survival and the continuation of the generation. The second force is the force of love, the greatest force of the unconscious, the force that shapes human relationships and provides the necessary energy for bonding, affection, and kindness. This force is also in close connection with the material and sexual force. The third force is the force of imagination or consciousness, the force that lights the way. In imagination, possibilities take shape and then are analyzed by reason, and with the companionship of love, turn into action. The fourth force is the force of deterrence. This force is formed of two parts: external deterrence and internal deterrence. External deterrence includes two states: defense, which has a positive aspect, and aggression, which has a negative aspect. Internal deterrence controls man from within and guides him toward more conscious choices. These four forces alongside each other make the structure of the unconscious, and whenever they are in balance, man will move in the right path. But if this balance is disrupted, man drifts away from his path, and in the end, the whisper of the unconscious to man is this: search for happiness within yourself, not by throwing its burden upon the outside world, even meaning and nature. Transmission of responsibility from nature and meaning to man. After man recognized his unconscious and understood the place of determinism and free will, a new stage begins, a stage in which responsibility is clearly handed over to man. In the beginning, nature had the role of the guide, and meaning determined the direction. Life went forward in its path without having a conscious choice. But with the emergence of man, this process was transformed. Man was not just a living creature, but became a creature that could understand, choose, and decide. From here onward, everything is no longer solely upon nature and meaning. Rather, man himself becomes a part of this path. He is no longer just a follower, but he is responsible. Responsible to himself, responsible to others, and responsible to the world. The forces that have formed in his unconscious are now at his disposal, so that he may use them in the direction of constructiveness or destructiveness. This is where the differences begin. Some use these forces in the direction of growth and consciousness, and others in the path of neglect and destruction. But in both cases, responsibility has been lifted from the shoulders of meaning and nature and placed upon the shoulders of man. Man cannot attribute what he does solely to the past or to external forces, because he has the power of choice, and every choice brings a consequence. In this stage, life becomes a testing ground, a test to measure how the inner forces are used. And in the end, the silent whisper of existence says to man, "You who became aware, you who have the power to choose, now you are responsible." The human proviso, critique of appearance. After responsibility was placed upon the shoulders of man, the necessity arises that man's view toward himself and others be corrected. Because if this view is not corrected, responsibility, instead of constructiveness, becomes a tool for supremacy. Throughout history, humans have sometimes considered themselves superior to others based on appearance, color, ethnicity, or belief. And this conception caused distance, discrimination, and even oppression. While at the level of the unconscious, all humans possess a common structure. All possess the force of survival, possess love, possess imagination and consciousness, and possess the force of deterrence. No human is separate from this structure. Therefore, real superiority is not in appearance, is not in color, and is not in titles, but in how these inner forces are used. The human who nurtures the force of love and utilizes the force of consciousness is closer to balance than the human who remains in the bond of prejudice and supremacy. Man's appearance, including the face, color, and physical characteristics, must not be considered as a criterion for superiority. What matters is not that which is seen, but that which takes shape within man. In this view, all humans are equal in the beginning, and what creates a difference are choices, behaviors, and the level of their consciousness. Opening horizons, Eastern religions. So if responsibility has been placed upon the shoulders of man, this responsibility includes the manner of his view toward other humans as well. And in the end, the whisper of the unconscious calls man to this direction, to see others neither lower nor higher, but like himself in the path of becoming. After man took upon himself the responsibility and corrected his view toward others, now he can look with a more open mind at the intellectual and spiritual paths of humanity. Among these paths, Eastern religions and schools of thought hold a special place. These schools, above all else, focus on the inside of man and try to create balance, peace, and harmony in his existence. In Buddhism, the main attention is on awareness of suffering and liberation from it. In this view, the force of awareness and internal deterrence becomes more active than other forces. In Hinduism, the connection of man with existence is considered, and life is viewed as part of a great cycle. In this path, the force of imagination and deep perception of existence is strengthened. In Taoism, harmony with the flow of nature is the fundamental principle. Man learns to align himself with the flow of existence, not against it. Here, balance among the forces and acceptance are highlighted above all else. In Shinto, respect for nature and the forces hidden within it holds a special place. Connection with the surrounding world is accompanied by a kind of sense of sanctity, which can strengthen the force of survival and the sense of belonging. In the teachings of Confucius, social order, morality, and the responsibility of the individual toward others are highlighted. In this view, the force of conscience and behavioral balance become more active than other forces. Despite the differences, all these paths share a common point, and that is attention to the inside of man. Each activates a part of the forces of the unconscious more and guides man in a specific direction. But this is not the end of the path. Alongside these views, the Abrahamic religions too, with a different view, have dealt with these forces. In these religions, love takes direction, conscience is strengthened, and responsibility is defined more clearly. Man is invited not only to his inside, but also to action and accountability. And in the end, it can be viewed thus: that all these paths are reflections of the inner forces of man. And what has been expressed in different religions is in truth various forms of a common truth. A truth that within man, in the form of the unconscious, is present. And man, before being a follower of any religion, is the bearer of these forces within himself. The true meaning of sanctity. After recognizing the various paths and understanding the inner forces of man, another question arises. What is sanctity, and who can be considered sacred? Throughout history, humans have sometimes deemed certain individuals sacred based on belief, position, or religious affiliation. But sanctity, if limited only to these cases, may drift away from its truth. True sanctity takes shape where man crosses his own border and places himself in the service of others. The human who, without considering differences, strives to reduce the suffering of others and takes steps for the improvement of human lives is closer to the essence of sanctity. In this view, sanctity is not in a name, is not in appearance, and is not in a claim, but is in action, in the kind of view and in the amount of responsibility that man accepts facing the generality of humanity. Many humans throughout history, without considering themselves sacred, have become the source of goodness and service. And perhaps this very lack of claim is the closest state to sanctity. In this sense, every human can step into the path of sanctity, not through supremacy, but through service. And in the end, sanctity does not take shape in the distance between man and man, but appears in the bond between them. The relationship of psychological balance with material wealth. A person, in the path of his life, needs both material wealth and inner balance. Material wealth can create comfort, can provide security, convenience, and the amenities of life. But it cannot satiate the inner feeling of man, because true peace springs from within man, not from the outside. If man relies only on material wealth, he may be at ease in appearance, but within, he becomes afflicted with emptiness. And if he suffices only to his inside and neglects material wealth, the balance of his life will be disrupted. So balance is in that man neither becomes a prisoner to material wealth, nor chooses complete avoidance of it. Rather, places them in their correct position, and alongside that, pays attention to his inner growth as well. In this state, material wealth becomes a tool, not the goal. And man steps in the path of psychological balance. Message to humanity. Surah Al-Asr. In this path, from the beginning of life to the consciousness of man, from the unconscious to responsibility, from differences to unity, and from appearance to the truth within, we walked a journey. A journey in which man recognized himself and understood his place in the world. He perceived that there are forces within him, the force of survival and constructiveness, the force of survival, the force of love, the force of consciousness, and the force of deterrence, each of which can guide him toward constructiveness or destructiveness. He learned that it is neither absolute determinism nor absolute free will. Rather, life is the field of choice. And in this field, responsibility rests upon his shoulders. He saw that superiority is not in appearance, but within, and in the manner of using these forces. He understood that sanctity is not in a claim, but in service and in responsibility facing the generality of humanity. And he learned that material wealth can provide convenience, but true balance takes shape within man. And now, after all this, a simple truth, yet deep, is revealed. Time is passing, and man is in danger of loss unless he becomes aware, attains faith, performs righteous deeds, and exhorts one another to truth and to patience. This is the very message that in Surah Al-Asr has been expressed in the shortest and deepest form. Man is in loss unless he chooses the path of awareness, responsibility, and humanity. And this choice begins within him. Symbolic description of the first paradise. In the beginning, man was in harmony with himself and with the universe. In that state, there was neither internal conflict nor separation from existence. This situation can be considered symbolically as the first paradise, a paradise in which balance was established. The inner forces of man operated in complete harmony with one another. Neither survival dominated other forces, nor tendencies went out of balance. But with the increase of awareness and entry into the stage of choice, man drifted away from that simple and harmonious state and entered a universe in which he must create balance among his inner forces. Therefore, the first paradise is not merely a place, but a state, an inner balance, and a deep harmony between man and existence. And returning to it is possible not by returning to the past, but by reaching a conscious balance within. A reflection on life after death. Man has always thought about death and what comes after it. This question rises from the depths of his being, from the very place where feeling and the unconscious are present. In science, it is said that energy does not perish, but transforms from one state to another. But in the case of man, what matters is not merely material survival, but the sense of continuity at a higher level. Many humans, in moments close to death, reach a kind of inner awareness, to a review, to peace, and to a kind of liberation. Some, in dreams, feel a connection with their lost loved ones, and others deem death not the end, but a transition. Perhaps life after death, more than being provable, is feelable. And this feeling has roots in that same unconscious and the deep perception of man of existence. In this view, death is not the absolute end, rather is a change in the state of existence. And what remains is not only the effect of man's deeds, but the quality that he has nurtured within himself. Shared expectation, dissimilar interpretations. Among great religions, there exists a shared concept, expectation. Expectation for the coming of someone who establishes justice and reduces the suffering of humans. In Judaism, this expectation is known as the Messiah. In Christianity, it is interpreted as the return of Jesus, and in Islam too, the return of Jesus is believed. In appearance, these differences can create distance. But if we look deeper, what is shared is the hope for justice, the hope for liberation, and the hope for the world becoming better. The problem is not with the principle of expectation, but from where humans limit this shared hope to separate interpretations. If each group waits only for its own savior and ignores others, this expectation, instead of bonding, turns into separation. But if this concept is considered as a shared human truth, then expectation can bring humans closer to one another. In this view, salvation is not summarized only in the coming of a person, but finds meaning in the awakening of humans as well. Man, when he becomes aware, when he accepts his responsibility, and when he looks at others as a part of himself, walks in that very path, the path of justice, the path of humanity, and the path of salvation. Therefore, perhaps more important than whom we are waiting for is that we ourselves, to what extent, are moving in the correct path.